it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Spooktober. So what happened was that last week I was filming an unboxing video. I had, I believe, 4 decks. 3 decks were spooky and scary and 1 deck was not. So I thought to myself, look, I'm just going to start with a non-scary deck because I'm just going to be quick about it, and then we're going to focus on the scary ones. But if you watched the video that I posted last Friday, that's not what happened. So I love it when a deck surprises me so much that I'm actually spending 1 hour looking at all of the cards and talking about it with you guys, because it was still an unboxing video. It's not a deep dive or anything. I did have time to use the deck ever since I filmed that video, but I would say I still need a bit of time to study the cards. But it just took me by surprise. It was a great positive surprise, such nurturing vibes coming out of that deck. And it's called the Manga Tarot, and it's a tarot deck that you can find on I think I bought it out of Tavada, I'm pretty sure. But in any case, if you want to watch it, and mind you, it's not, I know that manga, there's so many manga tarots out there, aren't there? It's not one of those novelty decks that is just pretty. It is pretty, but it's not just pretty. It actually does have a lot of really deep meanings. It looks at the cards. There's an incredible knowledge of tarot in order to be able to create a deck like that. And it really took me by surprise, but it was a positive thing. And I always like it when a deck finally challenges me. Because let's face it, after collecting for, I don't even know, 37 years? Yeah, 37 years that I've been collecting tarot decks and having more than 600, you guessed it. It becomes, you want the exception. Let's put it this way. You want a deck to just take you by surprise and do something that no other deck can. And that happens to me every now and again. But I loved it because it happened whilst I was filming. So you guys will be able to actually see my reaction in that video. But I still have the other decks that I want to unbox. And so that's exactly what we're going to do today. I am not going to let myself be distracted by anything. We're going to unbox those decks, I promise. So the first one I want to talk about is teeny tiny. And it's this one here. It's the Memento Mori. It's only 36 cards, and it's one of those decks by, is it Red Wheel? Yes, by Red Wheel. There's also a mushroom deck that I talked about when I was talking about the Midnight Magic Tarot, and I was pairing it up with it. Let me just zoom in all the way because otherwise we won't be able to see the cards. So it is tiny. However, let me just say this. Ever since I saw it, because it was released in the US probably 2-3 weeks ago, I was not able to find it in Australia, and so I bit the bullet. I bought it on the US Amazon site. And I paid for shipping, so I ended up probably paying twice as much as I would had I been waiting for this deck to be released in Australia, which is in February, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I have no idea what they're doing on marketing there, but honestly, I mean, a deck like this released in February, yeah, you can think about in bulk, maybe, I don't know. Sorry, I just keep on giggling because when I saw the release date, I was like, this doesn't make sense at all. I mean, just for you, I know that 90% of you are in the US, so obviously you're kind of spoiled, guys. Just be aware that you're kind of spoiled when it comes to availability. But you know, for us in Australia, and also I know you guys, I hear you in Latin America, same problem. So we see these decks and we want them, we want to buy them, and we see them on TikTok, and we see them on Instagram, and we see walkthroughs and deep dives, and even just flip throughs on YouTube, and everyone talks about these decks, and they're the deck of the week or the deck of the month, and it's perfect, and you go in the website and you look for the release date, and it's 4 months ahead, and you go, no one is going to talk about this deck 4 months from now unless it's a revolutionary deck, you know what I mean? And when I look at this one, I think to myself, it is gorgeous, because for what I've seen, sorry, this is my cat in the background. He's unhappy because I'm spending time with you guys and not with him. But I did cuddle with him for 2 hours this morning because he came to bed and he was under the cover, which is unusual for him. So I just hugged him for like 2 hours until I just couldn't move anymore. And I was literally going around like this. So Chicho, it's okay. And I fed him. He's been fed twice already. And it's not his feeding time for another 3 hours. So he's fine. He's really fine. Please don't call the RSPCA on me. I love my cats. So as I was saying, what was I saying? In any case, look, this deck, it's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. But I don't think that it's going to be one of those decks you still talk about it 6 months afterwards. And to be releasing it, to be waiting 4 months, actually almost 5 months to release it. I mean, I understand prioritizing one market completely. I totally get it, 1000%. But 4 or 5 months, you really risk not having sales. And I know that the US market, you guys are 320 odd millions people. So of course it's the biggest market, of course. And it's also easier to ship and everything. But honestly, I mean, the rest of the world is eagerly awaiting for these decks. And if we have to wait 4 or 5 months, you know, in 4 or 5 months, I'm probably going to buy something else by Los Carabeo or Rockpool or Blue Angel or US Games or who have you. In any case, that's just my 2 cents. Probably don't really know. I do know about marketing. I have been working in an international company for many, many years. Couple of things I do know. But there might be things that I don't know. So maybe they have contract with distributors, and maybe they have contract with the local distributors in the US, and maybe they have priority, and so they cannot ship them. But 5 months, I would never sign that contract. I would never sign a contract that told me that I cannot sell anywhere else but the US for 5 months. In any case, if you bite the bullet, sorry about the really long rant, if you bite the bullet, this is easy to get. You just have to pay for shipping and obviously the currency conversion thingy, such a thing, I don't know. In any case, it's here, and it's all about bones, and it's all about skulls, and it's all about skeletons, and I love it. I really love it. I haven't opened it yet, so let's have a look. I'm really, really hoping for it to be really cool, as I think it is. This one, contrary to the mushroom one, does have keywords at the front of the card rather than the back, so I'm thinking that is making it a lot easier to use, at least for me. So let me just quickly unwrap it. Okay, so it's unwrapped, really beautiful box. I love it. I don't know if you can see, but here, this is actually foil, the butterfly, and also the writing here, Memento Mori. Personally, I'm actually invested in this deck, and I didn't mind spending twice as much as I would have, and I've been waiting, because I'm really passionate about antique anatomy drawings. Whenever I go antiquing, I don't really go antiquing. There's just a few antique shops, and I just go in sometimes to find decks, really. But whenever I go antiquing, I actually look for these kind of drawings if they have them at the shop. So antique anatomy, anything related to those drawings about human anatomy from the 1800 or something like that, that looks really fascinating to me, especially when there's a few that show you the nervous system or the circulatory system, or you know, all of the bones, or they're fascinating. I know that for many people they look gross. I understand that. For me, it's just really, really cool. And so anything with bones and skeletons and stuff like that, it's right down my alley. So I forgot that this one is actually the drawer one, so I just have to slide it out. Or not. Okay, it slides out from the other side. Yeah, no worries. So it also comes with a belly band. Oh, look, it's very cute. There's a candle held by a skeleton hand. and the same one inside. And there's a belly band, and these are the bags, which are really cute already. I'm loving it already. This is a really beautiful color with these skulls and these flowers. They are reversible just in case, but you know, these kind of decks, you don't necessarily want to use them reversed. It's also because, for what I remember, they do not come with a guidebook, so you don't necessarily know. You might have to get pretty inventive and intuitive in order to be reading them in reverse. So as I said, 36 cards, and then here it just I think this is just introducing the deck, but because I saw the name George O'Keeffe, which is a fantastic painter from New Mexico, let me just quickly read it. Memento mori, it's Latin for remember you will die. Is often paired with memento vivere, remember to live. The concept of memento mori dates back to antiquity, probably most famously introduced in Plato's Phaedo, which recounts the last moments of Socrates' life as he ponders his imminent death. The principle of remembering death appears throughout history in all cultures around the globe, from Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, the Celtic Samhain, the calaveras of Dia de los Muertos, the artwork of George O'Keeffe, to the words of Odin in the Havamal. Death, after all, is the great equalizer. What happens after death is irrelevant, whether you believe in reincarnation, heaven or hell, or returning to the soil to nourish the earth. Before that final moment, there is the now. There is only this life, this moment that you are living now, and life is merely the passage of time that ends with death. Acknowledging that fact is freeing. It removes fear of the unknown, allows you to embrace life in the here and now, and increases your confidence in what is uniquely you. That you are not a thing in the process of becoming in the future, but you are fully everything now. I love this concept, but it's extremely difficult for me. I always see myself as something that I will become. I don't know whether that is what keeps me going, maybe. It's the equivalent of being on a diet, which I'm often. I'm often on a diet. And you weigh yourself after you lose maybe the first kilo and you go, that's awesome, I love it, and the clothes fit better and so on and so forth. But you just see yourself in the process of losing more, and you haven't lost more yet. You just see yourself moving towards that goal. And that is basically my life. So it goes on here, but I will let you read that if you so wish. And so there's 36 cards. They are gilded, as you can see, in gold, which is really nice. This deck came a little bit warped, and I know that it's because of the humidity that we've got lately here in Sydney. It's humid, so be it. It's nothing really, it's not a deal breaker. So because the backs are like this, as I was saying, the sentences, keywords or affirmations are on the front of the cards, which makes it a lot easier to use, more practical. So the universe goes on. Yeah, that is a pretty good concept when we're talking about Memento Mori. Faith transcends. Now the cards are slightly, because of that type of gilding, it is what happens. The cards kind of tend to stick to each other because of the gilding bleeding a little bit on the edges. It goes away after the first time that you separate them, then they don't tend to stick again. So it's just a matter of separating them the first time. These colors are so beautiful. They are gorgeous. Love it. The path is lit. As you can see, I really have to separate them, but that's okay. Love endures. Oh my goodness, count your blessings. Look at this. That's very sweet, but very sad as well. Trust your familia. I do, but my familia is always hungry, and he's always meowing at me. Oh, he's left now. He's sulking. He's left. He's at the door and he's looking at me like that. Okay, I'm a bad mom. Make your move. Awesome. Your body is time. Forgive. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love the association with all of this botanica and the the curiosities associated with the bones and the skulls. Reflect on your true face. Really, really beautiful, this one. Wow. And especially the roses. The roses, I don't know why, but I do associate roses with death, simply because I see them as wilting, even when they're not wilting. What does that say about me? I have no idea. But I do see them in the process of decaying. I like that. It's not something gross. It doesn't gross me out. I actually personally think, for example, look, I dried this rose. This is this one or this one, I don't remember anymore. But basically this is the rose my husband was wearing on his lapel the day we got married. And I just conserve it this way. I dried it and then I just, put it on this. That used to be a candle called Wilting Roses, ironically. I thought it was matching. And so I will always keep it here. I really, really like it this way. Legacy lives on, absolutely. Tea first. Oh, very British. Future past, beautiful. Make music. Necromancy calls. Oh, choice feeds fate. Wow, okay. Oof, very intense. Choose to be present. See, okay, I know that this is supposed to be like a modern look at skeletons today. Obviously the skeleton with the cigarette and this one with the iPhone. And it is very meaningful, as in choose to be present. If you're surrounded by people, connect with them. Just put the phone down for 5 minutes and just have a conversation. I'm not entirely sure that I'm actually liking a phone held by a skeleton, but that is probably because of the reminder that we live in these times. And when I look at the bones, I just rather think of those prints that I told you about antique anatomy and stuff like that. But that's just one card. Passion burns bright. Rewind and reset. Let it go. That's really beautiful. So the colors of this deck are just stunning, really stunning. I absolutely love the art style. It is incredible. It is truly, truly beautiful. Embrace your shadow. I actually also really appreciate the sentences. These are not keywords, they are sentences, but as such, they work really well. And I think that they've done, so far at least, a fantastic job when it comes to the connection between the image on the card and the sentence. You contain multitude. I mean, look at this. Isn't it such an amazing card? For everything, a season, absolutely. As you saw, reap, rise, enter the unknown. Wow. You hold the key, really beautiful. Oh my goodness, carry hope. Look at this card, isn't it just really gorgeous? I really love the colors, the rainbow colors and the rain at the same time, and the concept, carry hope. You're just sitting there, you're waiting basically for the rain to stop. And ponder karma, wow. Return and accept. Wow, this one is probably one of my favorite cards. So really, really beautiful art style. I really like it. I like what they've done a lot more than the mushroom deck, because as I was saying, I honestly did not feel like I was resonating with that deck. Practically, I always had to flip the card to see the message on the back, and most of the time I found the message not to be very deep or powerful. This one is actually very insightful, and I really love it. So there's a combination of all of these kind of things, the beauty of the art style, the incredibly stunning colors that have been used, and also the messages that are quite deep. So I would say this is a great deck. I highly recommend it. It is small, but at the end of the day, I mean, smaller just means that it's easier to use it for me, easier to shuffle. It's not one of those decks that it's incredibly hard to handle because the cards are just bigger than my hands. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty happy with this one, I would say. Really, really stunning deck. Really stunning deck. I'm already thinking about decks that I want to pair up with it. But today is going to be about the other decks that I want to show you, because otherwise these videos are going to go on forever. Okay, let's move on to the next deck. Okay, moving on to the next decks, I had to zoom out, but I also wanted to show you these really cute bracelets. These are again from Otter Spirit. I highly recommend buying with them if you like this kind of bracelets, because you will always be sure that what you get is really high quality. These are guaranteed authentic AA or even AAA grade stones, so it is something that will last for a long time. And as you know, as always, you can grab my link from the description box below, and you have some fantastic discounts, 20%, even up to 30%, depending on the amount to spend. So Otter Spirit, I also recommend it because, of course, I am a great advocate for ocean life conservation, and Otter Spirit always donates $1 for each and every one of these bracelets bought or sold. They donate $1 to the charity associations that are focusing on saving wild sea otters. So obviously it is something that it's, you know, you're doing something for the planet as well. So absolutely gorgeous, these ones. I'm wearing these ones because they really go with my tan. Have you noticed that I'm tanned? I never tan. So I think it's because I walk 2 hours every day outdoors. I do use sunscreen, by the way, but yeah, they look really cool. Okay, moving on to the next decks. I'm really excited because this is a reward for my Kickstarter campaign that funded, I believe, something like 6-7 months ago. They're all starting to ship out, and this month, I don't know why, but every year if I back something in March, I will receive it in October, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. But they all come at the same time, so it feels like it's Kickstarter galore between mid-October to mid-November. It's like one after another, and I don't even have time to film the unboxing. So in any case, I'm very excited because in this case, this is a photographic deck, and you guys know that I love photography, so you probably already know what I'm talking about. So it's these two here that they came in these organzas bag. Don't worry, I'm gonna get rid of them straight away because I really don't like organza bags. So these are the Somnia. One is an oracle deck and one is the tarot, but it's a revised version of the tarot deck, the Somnia tarot that we all know by Nicholas Bruno. I follow Nicholas Bruno on his Instagram account, but I also really appreciated that he made available a couple of videos on the before and after, the behind the scenes, the production of the decks, and so on and so forth. And being a photographer myself, it was really interesting to see how he took the shots, because I know how difficult it is sometimes and how many times you have to go back to the same spot to get the right light and so on and so forth. And so it was really enlightening for me. So I'm really, really excited about these ones. I don't know which one to unbox first, but let's do the Oracle deck because, I don't know, because it's on the right, I don't know. So, okay, let me just unwrap it. Okay, here we are. So, by the way, really beautiful texture to the box. It's a wraparound magnetic box. I don't know how to describe it. Let me just show you, but it's very difficult. I don't know if you can actually see. Okay, so it looks like fabric. It looks like fabric. That's all I could probably think of to describe it. Not like linen, but similar to linen, as in a cotton fabric when you look at it in a certain way that is hit by the light and you see the texture. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Really beautiful photo, by the way. I'm gonna say that a lot. Just brace yourself because I'm gonna say that a lot. Then it opens up like this, fantastic. But I don't know if I can show you properly. It is in gold foil, but it's just stupendous. It's really stunning. And we've got the little white book here. That comes also with gold foil, really, really nice. Front and back is the same image, and I'm expecting it to, yeah, so it's just straight away, you can start using the deck, because you've got here, for example, where you do have a preface and probably a bit of an introduction on how to use the card and everything. Now it starts immediately with the cards, which is fine, fair enough. It's fine by me. And what I do like is that we got plenty, apparently we got plenty of keywords. We do have an explanation, and looks very interesting also in the fact that it does refer to the image on the card. So all of them, I don't know how many cards there are, but I'm probably, that there's a few, so it's going to be really, really cool. The catharsis, fortitude. Okay, well, we don't have a thumbprint, which is fine because we have the cards, so I don't really need it. And it's fine to see that there's an index here, so obviously we'll have to find the card to find the page, but that's okay. It's not in alphabetical order, it doesn't really matter. So let's have a look. Oh, okay, I need to unwrap the cards as well. I just wanted to show you, I don't know if I can. It's going to be difficult. I don't want to break it, but I don't know if you can actually see on the side of the box here, there's another image in gold foil, and then another one here. And this one, I believe, is very similar to the one at the front. It's the photo at the front. In here, it just says Somnia, and in here, Somnia as well. But because we do have another plastic wrap, I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got the intro card. Let me just see, it functions as a little bit of a probably authenticity card or stuff like that. The Somnia Tarot, unfortunately, well, the other editions obviously have been counterfeited so many times. Please don't buy a counterfeit deck. I always say this. You might think that you're being smart if you do it on purpose. If it happens because it's an accident, I completely understand. However, if you do it on purpose, you may think that you're saving money, and you are, at the beginning. But let me tell you, they don't read well. It's not the same thing as reading with the same deck. The manifestation is not there, the intention is not there, the relationship between the creator and the deck is not there. There's a number of things that just do not click. So it's true that you may save money on the spot, but at the end of the day, you don't have a deck. And besides, the quality is abysmal. So there's a number of things. It only happened to me once, and it was not done on purpose. And I just really believe that it was the original copy. It wasn't cheap at all. And for a number of reasons, I then found out that it was a very expensive, very almost perfect copy, and I'm not using it. I'm not using it because I know that it's not going to read well. In any case, you do you, but please don't. It hurts the industry, really. It does, trust me. So, you now possess an authentic printing of the Somnia Tarot Oracle series deck. The Oracle series captures the essence of dreams, nightmares, and surreal landscapes and the unconscious mind. This collection of art is a genuine representation of Nicola Bruno's visionary works, blending dream world experiences with traditional divination. Each image from the series was created through photography, sculpture, custom design, and dream journal entries. May these artworks illuminate your path and bring you insight, inspiration, and clarity within your readings. Thank you. Beautiful. Nice message. I like it. Oh, these are the backs, by the way. Gold foil all the way, as you can see. Really quick, really cool. So we're just gonna go. I don't know if I want to show you all the cards. By the way, really good quality gilding. I can really tell because the cards don't stick. It did come a little bit warped, as I don't know if you can tell, really not a deal breaker. And eventually I think that when the weather gets a bit drier, it would just go away. So it's absolutely fine. I don't think that I have the time to show you all the cards, so I'm just gonna go through them. Some of them feel like they're referring to let's say, an archetype. See, this one, for example, is the persona, and it's someone that is knee deep in what looks like a swamp, or I imagine it is a swamp or a canal. Actually, sorry, it's a canal with the K and double A, the Dutch way, because there's a windmill here. So this reminds me of Dutch paintings, so it could very well be in the Netherlands. But that is, in front of a face. So if this is the persona, it reminds us of sometimes wearing a mask. Sometimes this mask is so rich of details because we lived with it for so long that it looks like a painting. Very deep, liking it. The self. I love the fact, the absolution. So I love the fact that there's always this sense of or the 4 elements in almost all of the cards. I'm talking about the alchemical elements. This is my interpretation. It doesn't necessarily mean that Nicholas Bruno, the creator, would agree with me. This is what I feel when I look at the cards, especially because I know the Somnia Tarot, the first edition, and I used it many times. The cards, they really, they're very atmospheric. The photography is set at the golden hour in most of the photos, at least that version. It doesn't mean that these ones are as well. As a matter of fact, they're not. But at the same time, what I can tell you is that you always feel the very dominant presence of water as an alchemical element. Many of these characters are literally submerged in water. The Haven, wow, that's beautiful. Sorry, I got distracted. And then there's, more often than not, there's also the element of fire. For example, you can see it here. Wow, continuum, that's really strong. I don't know if you can tell, but there's someone who's carrying a really heavy, how do you call these ones? Like, I call it a grandfather clock, because it's, it's one of the older clock that was, it looked like a piece of furniture rather than just a clock. I don't know what it was called. And but they're really heavy, and so this person is carrying this clock, and it's on fire on top of everything. But they're also, submerged up to their chest in water. And so it really feels like there is this sense of struggle, but at the same time, the continuum, it's very similar to the sense of the 9 and the 10 of Wands. Because of the necessity to keep on going, but also feeling the burden and asking yourself whether it's the right burden to carry. So there's the element of water for sure, the element of fire, the element of earth in many of these cards as well, and also the element of air. There's smoke, fog in many of these cards, and also the presence of the sky. You can see the smoke, for example, here. I imagine this is incense, for example. When I look, well, for example, these ones are actually spirit of air. Well, there you go, the sanctuary. So we got the spirit of air, which is, makes sense because of the incense here. The spirit of fire, of course. The spirit of water, yeah, absolutely. And the spirit of earth, I imagine, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Loving these ones. They really tell a story, but at the same time they also immerse me in this same environment, in this same scene. And I use scene as in cinematic scene, looking at the cinematography of the settings. So it feels like they're not necessarily breaking the fourth wall, because you don't have, well, technically they're looking at you, but you don't see their eyes, you don't see their faces. So it doesn't feel the same as when an actor is breaking the fourth wall and looking directly at the camera. But it feels like they're still inviting you in and being part of the surrounding. Wow, immersion. So, in many cases, some of these cards also remind me of the concept of the tarot of the drowning world. Not all of them. I think that this one is more complete in the sense that, as I said, it doesn't just touch on 1 or 2 elements when it comes to alchemy, but it really shows you all of them. the messenger. At the same time, what I really appreciate is my approach to this deck. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm extremely claustrophobic to the point that until they renovated the train station, Central train station in Sydney, I couldn't go. So there were some hallways, corridors, however you want to call them, linking one platform to the other. The ceiling was so low that if I stretched my hand, my arm, and I jumped, I could actually literally touch the ceiling. And they were going on and on and on, looking very labyrinthic, very claustrophobic. Think Stanley Kubrick, The Shining. You know, the scenes in which the boy is riding his toy down the hallways. Same thing. When you show the floor and all of the 4 walls, so the floor, the 2 walls on the side and the ceiling, that becomes automatically claustrophobic. Sydney Central Station, until they modernize it, it looked like that. I just could not do it. I couldn't. So I am very claustrophobic when I see characters that are covered in a shroud and they have a rope around their neck, and because that's not enough, on top of everything, they've been completely drenched in water. And obviously now, because of Murphy's Law, whenever I'm looking for such an example, I cannot find it. Well, there you go. This one here, for example, it makes me want to breathe more, because I'm worried that I'm not gonna be able to breathe, and that's the start. If you have any kind of phobia, you will know that's the start. When you want to breathe more because you feel like you're not gonna be able to breathe, and unfortunately that's spiraling down, so that's not good. So I'm proud of my reaction, because after working with the Somnia Tarot, I can now actually look at these images and I can work them. So it's a tiny victory, but I'm very proud of it. So exposure and duality, beautiful. The labyrinth. I have to say, many of these cards actually remind me of the tarot. They remind me of some moments of the tarot and some meanings of the tarot cards. Like, for example, the duality one. That the term duality obviously reminds me of the Lover's card, but the fact that there are these 2 pillars and one is black and one is white, they remind me of the iconography and symbology related to the High Priestess. So there's a number of things I've already noticed that they really remind me of the tarot, and some of the ways to embody the meanings of the card on the images. This one is the 10 of Wands, for example, and so on and so forth. Really, oh my goodness, this one looks like Sinister. I don't know if you watched it. You guys know that I'm a huge horror movie and horror books fan. So this one reminds me of Sinister, not because of something that happens in the horror movie. I'm not spoiling it for you because you need the twist, otherwise it doesn't work. But it's got a very similar kind of, the poster is very similar to this one. Loving it, loving it, loving it. The catharsis, extremely, extremely important for me. I don't know what this is. Let me just see. Pendulum board, okay. So it does, okay. It's tiny for a pendulum, to be honest. You will have to be very careful where the pendulum goes in order to really understand where what word it's referring to. But it's always very welcome to have something like this in a deck. Really loving this oracle deck. It is, as I said, it feels like it's a bit of a mix between archetypes and actual keywords. I can still work with it without recurring to the guidebook. Not that I would want to, because I am an advocate for reading the guidebooks. I mean, if the creator went to the extent of writing something about their work, I want to read it. I want to know what they think. And maybe I do not agree, or maybe not always, but it's always interesting to know. So this one, as I said, is the Oracle deck, but I also have the Tarot deck. I'm just gonna quickly show you. So it's this one here, and let me just unwrap it. So this is very consistent as far as products and product quality go. The same kind of quality, the same kind of texture to the box. I'm really loving it. This, I honestly do not remember how much I spent. It was a Kickstarter campaign. I backed it like the second it went on. So maybe I had access to the early bird, but I don't remember. Some campaigns do, some campaigns don't. So it might be a little bit on the expensive side, especially if you only buy mass market decks or you buy mostly mass market decks, which is absolutely fine. Probably the majority of my decks in my collection are mass market, although I don't know, I never made that distinction. However, I will have to say, if this feels like it's slightly more expensive, just because the quality is astonishing. It's really something. Let's put it this way, this will become a collectible item. Maybe the Memento Mori, which was, I don't remember, it was affordable, it's a mass market deck, it will not. You never know, because honestly nowadays even a mass market deck can go out of print, and all of a sudden, because it's out of print, everyone wants it, everyone says, oh, it was the one deck that I always wanted. And I never bought it when it was still in stock, and now it's out of print and it's gonski, and yeah, so I don't know, honestly. But these decks, you pay for the quality you get. Let's put it this way. Also because, let me just tell you, these photo shoots, they don't come cheap. They are very expensive. You need a lot of material, you know, a lot of photographic gear. I remember when I was still working for the documentary, the Australian documentary on photography, a few years ago, I had something like, I was traveling with something close to $15,000 worth of photographic gear, and that wasn't all of it that I had. So, you know, you can imagine how expensive these photo shoots are, and you know, you also pay for that, obviously, and you want to contribute to the photographer's life and his ways of supporting himself, because we want these artists to keep on producing art, because otherwise we'll be here unboxing what? Unboxing candles, which are pretty and smell nice, but they're not a tarot deck. So this is the tarot, and it does have the same kind of structure as you can see here. Go for this one on the side as well, as you can see here. On this side as well, Somnia Tarot, and so on and so forth. I do have the larger book, so I'm expecting this not to be particularly illuminated when it comes to all of the meanings. I will refer to the larger book, but at the same time I would say, you know, if you just want a quick idea on how to read the card, then you obviously go into this little white book, and it will tell you what to or what perspective to adopt when you're reading it. By the way, these are RWS clones. They're based on the RWS system, so I don't mean with that they're easy to read. They might be easier to recognize when it comes to the meaning of the card. However, I'm not entirely sure that I would recommend this to beginners, unless you're a collector in that case. But also, if you're a beginner, you want to start with this one, absolutely go for it. I would never say, I did not start with an RWS, so I can't say anything. I just meant to say that you probably would appreciate it more if you had a basic knowledge first, and then you could it would be easier for you to find the meanings hidden in the symbols of the deck. Let me just wrap the second wrap. Okay, so it does come with the sort of a certificate of authenticity as well, which is always nice. These are the bags, by the way, so the same kind of design, different color. The oracle was a maroon color, and this seemed more of a darker blue, I would say. And then I know this deck. I know that it's a revised version, so I wonder. I don't want to film a side-by-side. This is an unboxing. I'm sure that there's plenty of tarot tubers filming a side-by-side. This is... when I film a side-by-side, I feel like I'm swayed to compare the two and only talk about the things that are in common and the things that are different between the two decks. right now, I just want to give you my first impressions on this edition. Maybe one day I will have the time to film the side-by-side, but I don't think so, especially not in Spooktober. I have so many concepts that I want to do for Spooktober. Let's go back to this. I also believe that it's not just a matter of maybe different kind of photos, so scenes related to the card, but also I can see immediately, and I can tell already, there's a different photographic approach to the same scenes. There's a different way of editing, I can tell straight away. If this one feels grittier, I hope it makes sense. Grittier because for me, it is, let's say, the colors feel slightly more saturated, and it also feels like there's been a slight sharpening applied to the subject, but also a slight tweak in the brightness, so it feels slightly darker. I don't know whether I am completely wrong or I am somehow closer to what indeed has been done. This is what it feels to me. This, I would have to say, feels like even more of a shadow deck than the original version of the Somnia. I love the fact that it's, as you can see, borderless. By the way, I'm always worried whenever a deck is borderless. I love it because I do prefer to see as much as possible of the images, but I'm always worried about the titles being inside the image because, you know, in some cases when you choose a color, in this case they chose the golden foil for the titles and the numbers. Gorgeous, fantastic, wonderful, I love it. However, in many cases you will see that there might be images that, for example, they might have some foliage here at the bottom and you might really not be able to read the title because the gold foil kind of gets you know, it's mimetizing with the foliage. I don't know if that makes sense or not. However, I would say so far I did not find that problem. As you can see here, this is the moment in which there is a golden hour. The last rays of sun are just hitting in the right spot the character, the protagonist of this scene, which is incredibly difficult to do, trust me. And also because honestly, the weather is almost never collaborating with the photographer. And you have to learn to shoot in any kind of weather with any damn available light. And by available light, I mean any kind of light you can get. This is actually a quote, I believe, from Ansel Adams. And, you know, it's literally what any photographer will tell you. You have to get used to work with any kind of light. Find any kind of light. Don't rely on the sun, because the sun is really not gonna comply to your plans. So in any case, really beautiful. I loved the original one. By the way, this one is a different cardstock. I also wanted to say that the original cardstock of at least the edition I've got, it is an incredibly buttery, soft, it's not even semi-gloss, it is matte, but it's got a very smooth feel to the front and the back of the cards. And it reminds me, I always say this because I know that a lot of you will know it and will go, ah, okay, gotcha. It reminds me of the US Games decks from the 80s. You know, that really buttery feel to the cardstock? That's the first edition of the Somnia. This one is a cardstock that is very papery, cardboardy feel, very sturdy at the same time, not feeling frail, fragile at all. It feels like it can be shuffled. Not that I'm going to destroy it because I don't want to. But it feels like if you want to read with this deck, you can definitely shuffle it. Riffle shuffle, bridge shuffle, overhand shuffle, doesn't really matter. I never ever suggest hand washing the deck. So, you know, doing like that with your hands. Because you will end up ruining the edging. However, I know that for some of us it's the only option available, so go for it. For me, for example, I do have injuries on my fingers, and so decks of this size, I can try and bridge and riffle shuffle, but honestly I'm gonna be in pain, so why doing that? I don't want to start a divination reading with me being already in pain about something. So, you know, put yourself in the best possible condition in order to do a great reading. So here is an example of what I was saying earlier. So there is sand or whatever soil this is, and the page of coins is obviously in gold foil, and because it is slightly similar in color, you might not be able to see it. I actually don't know whether you see it unless I do like this, because it is foil and obviously it will reflect the light a little bit. It is not really a big deal because I can still read it in real life. Through the lens it might be more difficult, but in real life you can see it. It's just that I wanted to show you with an example. And we've got another pendulum board like the other one that we've seen in the Oracle deck. Absolutely stunning images. I really like these two together. My temptation, I'm really tempted to just give you a sneak peek of how they will read together, because let's face it, most of us would actually use tarot and Oracle decks together. So let's have a sneak peek. Okay, so I just quickly shuffled both the decks. So by the way, they shuffle, overhand shuffle really well. I'm slowly doing a bridge and reshuffle of this one because it is a little bit more warped. So I'm going to try and reverse bridge shuffle in such a way that I will reverse the warp if I can. Otherwise, there are other methods of getting rid of the warp. But I was just about to say that if we do it the traditional way, or the way we're all used to, this pile of cards is slightly bigger than the true tarot pile, because obviously they've got a lot more cards. So either I will even that out, or you know what, let's just do it this way because it just makes sense. It feels like they have the same amount of cards, and it feels like obviously because of that being also the same cardstock and the same weight, they will have the same height. So this one feels more like we are doing something with brain rather than just guts. And I really want them to be occupying all the room that we've got, but I still want a light in there. I don't know if I make sense. And let's go. Okay, this is literally the first time that I'm using these two decks together. We have just done the unboxing together, and we're now looking at how they work together. I would have to say it really feels like we're looking at two different frames from the same movie. So quite obviously, because they I forgot to remove this one also in the other deck, so that's not a big deal. It does feel like the Oracle deck in some cards is slightly darker than what I would have liked, simply because the result is that in this light I can see it, I can clearly see it. I have natural light coming from the window. However, through the lens it feels like it's a little bit darker. But you can still tell the details. So this is called the escape artist, and there is someone that is still bound and tied down, and his face is covered and everything, but they are running away, and there's a couple of guys chasing this person, and there's the Knight of Cups. Maybe this person is running to his beloved, or he's running away from his beloved's husband if it's a Casanova kind of situation. Oh, that's beautiful. The Queen of Cups and the Alchemist. You know, the Queen of Cups actually is the mystic, so I really like it because it does incorporate also the alchemical side of the magician in many cases. Nine of Cups and the Ogre, the Six of Cups and the Captor. So as I was saying, it feels like it's a very cohesive kind of combination. It feels like these are two different frames coming from the same movie, and at the same time, because they're different frames, it also creates a sense of continuity, in the sense that in a movie, when you watch a trailer, for example, what they usually show you, they show you frames from the beginning, maybe the middle, and then it gets a bit tricky because they don't want to give you any spoiler, but they still want to show you if there's some really big twist. And usually they show you the reaction of the characters to the twist, so you don't see the twist, but you know that there will be a twist. And this one gives me a very similar feeling to what I get when I watch a trailer. I know, I hope it makes sense, but it's that is the feeling that I get when looking at both these cards. It reads, I think it will read really well. I'm not particularly going to go too deep into the readings today, simply because I really want to get to know the Oracle deck first a little bit more. If they were both new to me, I would just jump into it. But because I know the Somnia so well, I feel like it's a bit of a responsibility that I've got. Again, the pendulum board card. It's a bit of a responsibility that I've got to get to know the Oracle deck as well as I do the tarot, in order to be able to read them together in the best possible way. I just really, I can tell you immediately, I'm going to really love these two together. Wow. They're also really intense when it comes to the coincidences. Sometimes you can find the same colors, or sometimes, like in this case, one of the characters will be wearing the same clothes or the same color of clothes, or even in this case exactly the same outfit. So in this case, this character here is covered by a red shroud, as is the one in the chariot here. So obviously you also create a sense of the bridge between the two cards, because you imagine it's the same character that is moving on from one situation into another. Perhaps the spirit of fire, it's the one that you need in the chariot in order to overcome obstacles and so on and so forth. So there is there's a lot of elements that you can actually use in order to make your reading even deeper. And I think it's going to be a fantastic experience to use these two. When I get a tarot deck and an oracle deck, a deck in general that is as beautiful and as precious, and I mean precious in the positive way, not as in it's too precious to use it, but I do tend to be very careful on how I use it, because I don't want to ruin it. And it's also because, let's face it, if I had to buy it again, it would be a little bit of an expense, considering also the shipping cost and so on and so forth. But I am really happy about having these two. And these are Spooktober kind of decks for me as well, because of the thematics that we can see here. I know that there's this idea of the Somnia. Somnia is Somnia, I believe, is dreams or sleep. No, I believe it's dreams. No, it could be sleep in Latin, I forgot. It could be related to sleep, because sonno in Italian is also sleep. So these are really centering around the experience of the creator of the deck, Nicholas Bruno, and his dream journal. So he keeps a dream journal, and he was talking about sleep paralysis and the fact that he's been suffering from sleep paralysis. And in many cases, it doesn't stop there. Obviously, it's so much more. And I never ever I said that it's just about sleep paralysis. It's obviously about a lot more than that. But I found it fascinating that it is, at least it starts from that concept, because it's something that, if you think about it, the physiological reason behind what we call sleep paralysis is the fact that the mind wakes up before the body does after you've been sleeping. And so the mind needs to find a way to justify the fact that your legs or arms cannot move. And so, sometimes you conceive these creatures that are sitting on your chest, for example, that are immobilizing you. It is really, really scary if you experience it. Nowadays we know that it's related to this physiological phenomenon, but it is really interesting to know that a creator found that to be the inspiration for a deck. I find that it's absolutely really, really interesting. So we got the star and the veil. This is one of my favorite stars of all time, by the way. It's really, really beautiful, as always. I mean, this deck, let's face it, it's a deck that really makes me proud, as I was saying earlier, because I can look at the images without freaking out, and I love it. I really, really love it, and I'm very, very happy that I've got it here. So these two together, really fantastic. But as you guys know me, I will try other decks as well to pair up with the, especially with the tarot, because, for example, I already know that the Wayfarer Oracle, it works really well with the Somnia. The Wayfarer is not exactly an oracle, it's a writer's prompt kind of deck, but it works really well. It is my market, and it works really well. And I was thinking something maybe like Elizabeth on Earth Oracle that could work really well with the Somnia. As well, the Dark Magic Oracle can work really well with the Somnia, and probably other decks. The Dark Magic, I actually got it here. So let me just quickly show you, because I just literally have it here on the side. So it really doesn't cost me anything to show you. I did used to use these two together for a while, and I can actually split the deck in two, because this Dark Magic Oracle deck by Rockpool is thinner than the Somnia Oracle. I don't know if we could call it the Somnia Oracle, but it is. I mean, the Somnia Tarot Oracle series. So the Dark Magic may give it a little bit of a darker, obviously, let's say influence, but at the same time it works like a charm. I don't know if you can tell, it works really well, first of all because it is a photographic deck as well, but also because there are a lot of elements of surrealism that are integrated in the cards, and those same elements resonate a lot with the elements that are shown in the tarot as well. So it is a very strong kind of combination. It probably also gives you the possibility to do a bit of shadow work, I would reckon. I do recommend, as always, if you're doing shadow work, just always remind yourself to take a break for yourself, swim back up to the surface every now and then, and take a deep breath, because it's extremely important to maintain that kind of, let's say, awareness that there's always a light, you're safe, you're in a safe space. You need to remind yourself of that. See, for example, in this case, all of these characters are wearing a shroud as well, and there is someone here. Sorry, I've got a really awful reflection of light, and so I have to move my head in order to avoid it. But I don't know if you can tell, there's a lot of ropes here as well. So this looks like the perfect deck to be pairing up with the Somnia, because we're looking at something very, very similar here. So it is easy to create bridges between these two decks. And the Rockpool deck, the Dark Magic Oracle, is a Rockpool deck, so it's a very affordable mass market deck. Look at this one, how beautiful it is. Whilst, for example, the Elizabeth on Earth is not mass market, it's an indie deck. You can find it on Etsy. Really gorgeous pairings. There's so much that we can talk about, also about directionality. For example, the movement, that you can literally see the movement taking you towards the right. What's on the right? The Ten of Wands. Why? Shine, make yourself seen. The Ten of Wands. Perhaps you're wasting time carrying somebody else's burden instead of putting everything down and understanding that that's your moment to shine and raise your hand. Change this kind of behavior. I love it when I can do readings like that, because they come very directly, very naturally, I would say. And even though this is a slightly darker kind of oracle deck, which of course will reflect on the a more darker side of the tarot, I really believe that it's worth it to expand on the meaning of the cards this way with these tools, because it works really well. So absolutely fascinated by these. So in the meantime, I have received a parcel, and I'm pretty sure it's a deck. So we're just gonna unbox it together and check out what it is. I think I know what it is because it's not one of the usual packaging. Sometimes I can tell whether something arrives from overseas without actually reading, because what happens is that more often than not, when these kind of parcels reach customs, as in Australia, they actually replace the label because they do whatever checks they need to do, and so it doesn't necessarily come with the original label. So I'm not always able to tell what country they sent the parcel from. This comes with a lot of wrapping paper, bubble wrap, so it means that obviously they really wanted to make sure that it was not going to get damaged, and yes, it is what I thought it would be. So this one is the Lighthouse in Fog Tarot. Now, I was talking about this deck the other day in one of my videos. I think it was with one of my members, I'm not entirely sure. And I was saying I really regret not buying this deck when I had the chance, because this deck used to be really large. The original format was a very large one, even slightly too large for my taste, in the sense that the cards were really big and narrow and, you know, long. And in some cases, that kind of format is not my favorite, because it would still present a bit of a challenge for me to handle it. However, when it's this small, you know, there's no challenge in handling the cards, but there's a challenge in seeing the cards, because obviously the artwork will be very tiny. But I think I love this deck. So I don't want to break it. Okay, the flap is a bit difficult to open, and I've already caused a tear on the box, so I'm not happy, but that's okay. I'm not happy with myself. I should have been less goofy. But here it is. So the Lighthouse in Fog. So this is a deck that I bought from, I think, also Tevada, or it could be Vermilion, but I'm not entirely sure, I don't remember. And it's a deck that really caught my attention because there's so many different, let's say every suit has got a different approach, a different artistic approach. So you have more or less the same media utilized in the artwork, but you do have different colors. Sometimes it's just charcoal. I'm guessing this is charcoal sketching. Sometimes it's full color, and so on and so forth. And so I hesitated. That's one of the main reasons why I hesitated to buy it when I still could buy the bigger version, because I was a bit afraid that there would have been some kind of a disconnect for me when reading because of such a massive difference between the suits. But let's have a look at the cards. So we're starting with the Ace of Swords. So the suit of swords here, and as I said, just everything is in I think it's called charcoal. Maybe it's not charcoal, but it's in any case black and white, and you know, shades of gray. Very expressive. I have to say this art style is very, very expressive. I really wow, that's a really strong Nine of Swords. And it should be, you know, and also a very strong Ten of Swords. And it should be, because obviously we're talking about some of the most intense cards in a deck. A really beautiful Queen of Swords. She's my significator, so I always wanted to be the best in you know, amongst all the queens. So I'm happy to see that she's really beautiful. And these are actually the majors. So I was really taken by the beauty and the atmosphere of the majors in this deck, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to buy it. By the way, the cardstock is linen, also in the teeny tiny edition. I wasn't sure that it was the case. This one is not gilded. I believe that the bigger edition is gilded in blue, but I'm not entirely sure. And you can choose for the mini edition between the white and the blue box. I just went with the blue one. So these cards are, they're really beautiful. I love this Empress. There is a sense of experience and age and wisdom that comes with it because of what you can see in the eyes. You know, the eyes really tell a story. They also tell you about the sufferings that someone went through, but also the joys that someone could experience in their lives. So very expressful face in this card, this character. And I love the fact that she's actually hugging or holding, seahorse. Sorry, I had like Italian, French, Spanish, all the languages, and I was like, no, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Yeah, seahorse. She's holding a seahorse, which is very unusual, obviously, but very beautiful as a concept. And the Emperor, and then we got the Hierophant, which is octopus. Loving that. Have you guys watched my Octopus Teacher? I think that it's still available for streaming. I'm not entirely sure, but in Australia, if you are in Australia, I think it's on Netflix. It's incredibly interesting. This approach to an animal that we don't necessarily know, or we didn't used to know a lot about, and then in the last 50 years, there's been a lot of studies on octopi, and I love it because there's always this association in tarot, having an octopus 8 tentacles, you know, the number 8, and also the element of water, because obviously they live in the ocean. So there's a lot of things that during the years we've seen a lot of tarot decks either showing the octopus or sometimes being about the octopus. Like there is an actual octopus tarot, which I actually really like. So I like that it shows the octopus as a Hierophant, because it tells me exactly what I needed to know, that Hierophant, that is a teacher, but at the same time it still is it still needs to catch up with evolution, you know what I mean? In order for the Hierophant, when he is a teacher, not to become obsolete, he needs to keep up with time. So it needs to learn. So it's a very beautiful concept. And this is the card that convinced me to buy this deck. Let me just put it really close to the lens because I cannot even zoom any further, which is such a pity. I would love to have the bigger deck. So these are two whales. I don't know whether you can see that, because basically what you will be seeing are the skeletons of these two whales. And what really convinced me, and I think that it's an incredibly interesting concept, is that the bones out of the rib cage of the whales are actually fused together between the two of them. Again, I hope you can see it. If not, I highly recommend, Googling the Lighthouse in Fog Tarot, and you will see this image because it's probably one of the most famous images in this deck. And this is the Lover's card, so really beautiful. And then we got the Chariot, very beautiful as well, and the Strength card, which is really gorgeous. And we got the Hermit. It's very, so obviously being called the Lighthouse in Fog, I do expect a marine kind of theme, kind of obvious. It's a very beautiful one, the Wheel of Fortune. This to me looks like an eye bulb, looking down with all of the symbols in the sentence, but instead of having the iris, having all of the symbols, and looking down and almost crying. And it feels like there's someone with, if this looks, sorry, I know that it's something that I shouldn't be doing, but whilst I'm talking, I'm actually looking and my brain is working in the background and it's sending signals to the frontal cortex and it's saying, yeah, but this means that. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is a person with a lantern, and my back brain, yeah, hermit. So I'm basically one step behind my back brain. It's just saying, yeah, it's a hermit. Really cool. Justice, beautiful. And the hangman. And the death card. Oh, for once, that actually the knight riding the horse on the death card is actually on the ground, is not riding the horse. So I really like that concept. And the temperance card, really beautiful. And the devil, of course. And the tower. And the star card with all of this. This is really gorgeous. So this is a character, a person. I don't know if you can tell. And these are all manta rays. I've been swimming with manta rays in many locations. Belize is the best of all. There's a place in Kikoka which is called Manta Ray Alley, because it feels like you're intruding. There are so many of them that they look like cars, driving down an alley. It's just really amazing. And the two balls, it looks like with the moon card, really beautiful. Always this theme, very gorgeous sun, really beautiful sun. This theme of water, which is very recurrent in all of the cards. And this, I believe, I hope I'm not wrong, but these are stages. So these are eyes, obviously, on the sides. I don't know if you can tell, but these are actually stages in a tadpole, in the life of a tadpole, but I could be wrong. I probably need to read the book. So it did not come with the book. I don't know whether the bigger one does, a written book. I'm pretty sure that there might be something online that I can download. At least I hope so. The World card. And then we got a couple of additional cards. So this one is the Lighthouse and this one is the Wheel of Trees. The Wheel of Tree. Okay, interesting. And then we're going back to the other suits. So obviously we've got the Suit of Wands, which is showing brownish, dark red, maroon colors, which is in theme with the chemical element of fire, of course. Really beautiful. The art style is absolutely stunning. I'm really happy that I got this deck, but I'm really crushed that I didn't get the bigger one, because it would have been absolutely amazing. And these cards are beautiful, but they are a bit too small. The Suit of Cups, really nice as well. We got some pastel colors here. Although, the Five of Cups is completely different. It feels almost as if it were just sticking out like a sore thumb. It's just because I get it. It's the card of loss, but it's also your reaction to the loss. So I get that it's darker. And the 6, the 7, really beautiful 8 of Cups. So just moving on, because otherwise we're just going to go on forever here. So there are differences also when it comes to borders. Yes, borders, no borders. So some cards are borderless, some cards have borders. I know that may represent a bit of an annoying point for a lot of people, and it would be for me as well. If this deck wasn't as gorgeous and stunning and absolutely amazing as it is, I would probably not be happy about it. But then again, I mean, looking at it like that, and it's weird because it's got the ace here. Now I'm kind of worried that I did not see the Ace of Pentacles missing. So I hope that there's no double, because every time that I get a double, no, okay, cool. Every time I get a double of a card that is already in the deck, I'm thinking, what card am I missing? Because if you have if you had 79 as opposed to 78, it's okay. But if you still have 78 and one is double, it means that you're missing one. Not the case for this one. Really gorgeous. As I said, I kind of want to slap myself in the wrist not to haven't been quick enough, and now it's out of print and I don't even know whether they will reprint or not, but if they will, I am definitely gonna get the bigger version. So that was it for today. Super duper long video, I'm so sorry, but I wanted to give you my impressions on all of these new decks that came into my collection today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye.